Tomorrow on BBC One, a new series of Odd One Out with Paul Daniels.
Welcome to the return of Odd One Out.
So what are we going to catch, the warm or the cold weather?
Well, a little bit of both over the country as a whole. The colder weather certainly is coming back towards us, but I think we shall just about miss it. It's touch and go, but I think we shall probably just stay in the warmer bit and the colder bit.
In that case, you can give us the forecast.
Yes, I think we're just about going to miss that colder weather, down here at least. Although, to pay for it, perhaps, we've got to get some rain in from a few days yet. In fact, it looks as though we're going to in for a fairly rainy spell in the next 2 or 3 days, up to and including the weekend anyway. The satellite picture shows a good deal of cloud over the whole country, but you notice to the west of us there's some whiter, and that means thicker cloud, and that thicker cloud is bringing some rain towards us. This picture incidentally taken earlier this afternoon, and that thicker cloud has now moved further eastward and indeed is now producing some rain in parts of our region. The rain so far has reached Dorset, parts of Wiltshire, a fair bit of Hampshire as well. It's moving very slowly eastward, producing this rain, but not a great deal of rain, we think. But before the night's over, this rain would have reached western parts of Surrey and into Sussex as well. A fairly misty night, certainly over the high ground, and there's been fog plaguing the coast all day long, especially from the Isle of Wight westward, and that fog tending to creep along the channel, affecting perhaps parts of the Sussex coast tomorrow. And the rain that's coming along won't exactly wash it away either. I think these coastal areas are still going to be fairly foggy from time to time, certainly some fog out in the channel and still on the high ground, and tomorrow really being a fairly overcast and grey day with rain on and off, we believe, right through the day. No sunshine at all that we can see. You'll be extremely lucky if you do see any, but once again the rain not really amounting to a great deal, but the temperatures still fairly well up, say averaging out around about 10 degrees centigrade, that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But as I was hinting earlier, it looks as though we're in for a fairly rainy, damp spell of weather for the next 3 or 4 days, but still relatively mild.
Thanks, Keith. And finally, if you missed the news earlier on, the Defence Secretary, Mr Michael Heseltine, has defended the overnight operation to evict anti-nuclear protesters from RAF Molesworth in Cambridgeshire. He said it was necessary to prevent a systematic programme of deliberate delay and disruption. And meanwhile, on South Today this evening, the General Secretary of CND, Monsignor Bruce Kent, said that while attention may have turned for the moment to RAF Molesworth, Greenham Common would still be thoroughly involved in the nuclear debate.
And at Shoreham in Sussex, the hunt continues for the killer of Mr George Teed, his wife Hilda, and their 13-year-old son David. The police say they now strongly suspect that the murderer was somebody known to the family. Well, that's the latest news there is in the South, as always on this programme and as always on this channel. Join us for more news tomorrow, 6:30. Good night.
Good night.
Wednesday evening entertainment on BBC One. In a moment, Star Trek. Then at 7:45, the Golden Oldie Picture At 8:10, Dallas. And Jenna is desperate to see Charlie again.
Jenna, please, calm down.
Calm down. You told me I was going to see my daughter. When am I going to see Charlie now, though?
Real Lives at 9:25 reports from Hatfield, Maine in the Yorkshire coalfield, where all but a handful of the men are still on strike, and talks to the miners and their families about the hardship and strain of the last 11 months. At 10:10, Sports Night features the European Figure Skating Championships with Britain's top pair, Karen Barber and Nikki Slater. There's also coverage of the World Skiing Championships and a special tribute to Sir Stanley Matthews, who played his last match 20 years ago today. And with the feature film The Eyes of Charles Sand at 10:55, that's Wednesday evening on One.
And now some surprises for Captain Kirk and the crew of Enterprise in the form of a strangely illogical Mr. Spock in Star Trek.